Last week I was browsing YouTube as I was preparing to upload a video about my new book club, meeting on April 30th at 7 p.m. Central, right here on this channel. The first book is Homegoing by Jessie, which you can purchase by following the link in the description below. And I saw this video, Why I Don't Like Reading, on the trending page. Maybe at number 1, I don't remember, but I do remember that it was high enough on the trending page that I got really mad about it, because the timing was terrible. Just as I was about to upload a video about a new book club, the number 1 trending video was called Why I Don't Like Reading. I decided I didn't want to watch a very popular anti-reading video just as I was ready to upload what was surely going to be a much less popular pro-reading video. When I eventually did watch it, I actually really liked it. It was really funny. She actually makes a bunch of really good points. The main one is that she doesn't like reading because during her formative years she was forced to read books that she didn't enjoy. Between her teachers and her mom, she was constantly told to read stuff that she didn't want to read when she didn't want to read it. And that's a totally fair argument. If you're playing Mario Kart with your brother and your mom comes in to tell you to stop playing video games so that you can read instead, it makes sense that you wouldn't like reading. Mario Kart is awesome. And also, as a kid, being forced to do anything that you don't want to do in that moment, it sucks. Now, to defend parents a little bit here, they know that reading is good for their kids, and it can be hard to get kids to read without forcing the issue and making it feel like a chore. And in your English teacher's defense, they don't make you read books that you don't like on purpose. Depending on your school, almost everything you would read in English class is either part of a curriculum that was decided upon before your teachers even started working there, or it was decided by a group of teachers who needed to plan and negotiate how they would teach the same books at the same time, or they're choosing classic or well-known literature because you need to have a common frame of reference in order to navigate adult society. If you go through life having never read any of these books, there are a ton of references in American culture or news or conversation that you just won't understand. But I get where you're coming from. Even when I was in college as an English major, a major which I specifically chose because I like reading, I often didn't like reading what was assigned to me. The whole point of my major was to read and analyze books, but if a book was really boring, I wouldn't read it. One book I hated so much that I actually dropped the class so I wouldn't have to keep reading it. I'm gonna wait for the siren to go by. Several of my college classes would assign somewhere between 6 and 8 novels for the semester, but they told you from the outset that for the midterm and final you could choose 2 or 3 books to write essays about. So I always chose the 2 books that looked the most interesting and just put the rest on a bookshelf. Actually, The Professor's House by Willa Cather. This is from a class I took when I was 20 years old. I'm 35 now, I still haven't read it. It has been on my shelf for 15 years and the only time it gets touched is when I pack it up and put it in a box to be moved to a new apartment. One of my favorite days of college was the very last day of school after I took my last finals. I looked over at my bookshelf and thought I can read whatever I want without anybody telling me what to read. And this was my biggest fear as an English teacher. Am I contributing to this anti-reading culture by forcing my students to read things that they don't want to read? I did my best to work around this. I would try to be enthusiastic. Sometimes I had to fake it for books that I didn't love, and I think my students saw through that. So enthusiasm didn't always help. For example, I was insistent on adding Cry the Beloved Country to our world literature curriculum, and all the enthusiasm in the world didn't change how much my students hated that book, which is garbage. Those students are garbage. All of my students are garbage. That book is wonderful. I taught another class called Contemporary Fiction, and it was all seniors in that class. I could teach really whatever books I wanted to. So I assigned The 10th of December by George Saunders. It is weird and filthy and inappropriate, but so good. I ran it by my boss, who allowed me to teach it for some reason, and it was maybe the single most read book by any of my students in any class that I taught because it was wild and insane to teach in a public school, and I was enthusiastic about it, and we had all kinds of fun conversations about it. All this is to say, if you don't like reading or you don't want to read, I get it. You're not a bad person, and I don't think you're dumb. But let me make a bit of a sales pitch for reading. Reading is not just another way to consume content. It is the best way. I don't want to bore you with studies that say that reading makes you more intelligent or empathetic. I don't think that's how you persuade people that reading books is good for you. And nobody picks up a book thinking, thinking, ah yes, now it's time to exercise my brain. It's the best thing you can do for yourself, because if you find the right book with the right story and characters that you care about, you can get completely lost in it. You can connect to other people intimately, even when you're completely by yourself. And the more I read, the more connected I feel to other people and the world around me, and even to myself. And then when I eventually do go back outside, I feel more like a part of the world, as opposed to some disconnected passive observer of it. So please, if you have the time, and I hope that you do, find a book that looks interesting to you that nobody is forcing you to read. Ask your friends what their favorite books are. And if you're still not coming up with anything, use the comments below to tell me what some of your favorite books were when you used to read, or what some of your favorite movies and TV shows are now, and I'll do my best to recommend a good book to you. If you have no idea where to start, then use the link in the description below to pick up a copy of Homegoing by Jessie, which I'll be discussing on April 30th at 7 p.m. Central on this channel. It's not homework, it won't be graded, nobody's forcing you to read this, but if you need a place to start, let's read a book together. There's still plenty of time to order it and get started reading it. I actually haven't even started reading this yet, so if you order it soon, we can read it together. Quick shout out to Corey, who was randomly selected to get my copy of The Man They Wanted Me to Be, which was fully sanitized before it was mailed to you. I hope you enjoy it. Yes, Corey is a former student, but I promise he was selected randomly. I try not to play favorites, but he is a good dude. That's it for today. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there.